Okay, I think everybody is here. I'll do my best not to yell, Councillor Jansen. Apparently I'm a bit loud. So at 6:30, I'd like to call the regular council meeting to order, July 14th, 2025. It is an honor to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen speaking people represented by the Songhees and Kusapsum nations. We're grateful to live, work, and play in this special place. I'd also like to highlight that we are having an issue with our live streaming section on our meeting portal and linking to iCompass. The provider has indicated that it is a bug on their end and that it is being investigated. We have updated the live stream function on the portal to include the link to our YouTube page for the public to watch live. I'd also like to acknowledge that Mayor Doug Kobayashi sends his regrets, which is why you're seeing me here. So please bear with me tonight. And also Councillor Ward sends his regrets this evening. So if I can, so item 2, approval of the agenda. There is a minor amendment to the agenda this evening. Notice a motion has been added as item 7. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt today's council amended agenda and to receive the near and long-term agenda? So moved by Councillor Grove, seconded. Oh.
Hi, so item 6.3 regarding the North Latoria Corridor pre-feasibility study suggests that there was a recommendation from Committee of the Whole. There was no recommendation from Committee of the Whole, so we don't have anything.
That is correct. That is placeholders in the agenda had there anything came forward. So this was just a reminder that there might have been an action item of 6.3 and 6.4 on the Committee of the Whole, but that is no longer the case. So therefore they no longer apply.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Thank you. So Councillor Jansen seconded the agenda. So any further discussion? Anyone opposed? Nobody opposed, so that motion is carried. Thank you. So we'll move into item 3, which is the mayor's message. So summer recess, just to express a happy summer to everyone. I hope all of you get some time off to enjoy some summer vacation with family and friends. This is the last council meeting as we go into summer recess, and our regular council meetings will resume on Monday, August 25th. Just an update on municipal borrowing. Effective June 9th, 2025, the province has amended 2 regulations that impact municipal borrowing. These changes increase municipalities' ability to borrow without elector approval, but have no impact on overall debt servicing limits. The liability servicing limit remains 25% of the annual calculation revenue as established in the municipal liabilities regulation. So in a nutshell, the 2 amended regulations are as follows. First one, the approval-free liability zone has been increased from 5% to 10% of the annual calculation increase. And the second point, the short-term capital borrowing limit applicable under Section 178 of the Community Charter is now the amount obtained by multiplying 150 by the municipality's population, which has been increased from 50. And that is it for my mayor's message this evening. So may I have a mover and seconder for adoption and receipt of the minutes under section 4.1 of the agenda? I'm going to mover Councillor Grove, seconded by Councillor Jansen. Are there any errors or omissions? None noted. Any discussion? No discussion. Anyone opposed? Nobody's opposed, so motion carried. So with that, we'll move into section 5 of the agenda this evening, which is public participation. 9 written submissions have been received prior to the agenda publication and are attached to the agenda. package, and 3 written submissions were received after agenda publication and will be appended to the agenda tomorrow. So I just want to thank the public for their written submissions. No members of the public have registered to speak virtually. Members of the public will now be given the opportunity to present concerns or ask questions. Alternatively, you may wish to wait for the agenda item to be brought up and to speak to it at that time. If I can get a show of hands from the public for those who wish to speak when the specific agenda item is being discussed. Okay. So Rachel. Sorry, 8.1. Okay, I will remember that, and if not, just wave at me. And Mr. Willing, what item number on the agenda do you wish to speak to? Pardon? Do you want to speak during the public participation, which is now, or I'm assuming you want to speak to, I think I could probably guess. Let me just take a peek here. I'm not sure what item number it is. 8.4? No, sorry. 7.3. Yeah, so which would now be 8.3 because we did have a motion added to the agenda under 7.0.
It was 8 motion.
Okay. Mr. Willing, I know when to call you up. I know what you'd like to speak to, so I'll make note of that. Sorry, just give me a moment. Okay, so if anyone would like to speak during public participation, I will just remind you when you come up to speak, please state your name, your address. If you're not comfortable stating your address, just where you live. A reminder, when the light is green, that means go. When it's amber, it means you're halfway through your 2 minutes. And then when it's red, that means that your time is up. So can I get a show of hands? Who would like? Ms. Brown, please.
Carol Brown, Citizens Environment Network in Colwood. CENIC, Citizens Environment Network in Colwood, was pleased to analyze the draft 2025-2030 City of Colwood Buildings retrofit strategy and wish to express our appreciation for the extensive work done by the city staff and consultants. The importance of this work in moving forward on the city's climate action is significant. The reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, increased energy efficiency, and improved resilience to our changing climate are all necessary steps to improving the health and safety of those living and working in Colwood. We have made comments and suggestions regarding the various sections of the strategy and have included them in our written submission. Under the key focus areas of outreach and support, quote, to highlight the benefits and support systems available for retrofits, CENIC makes a request of the city to provide at their convenience brochures with information on retrofitting residences and commercial buildings. These brochures could outline the rationale for retrofits, list possible retrofits available, such as heat pumps and solar, and the grants and financial assistance at the present time. CENIC strongly supports the City of Colwood's building retrofit strategy and applauds the strong leadership opportunities proposed in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Is there anyone else in the public that wishes to speak during public participation? Okay. Seeing no one, we'll move on. Please forgive me, I do need to go back, and I may need a little bit of direction here from the CAO, but during the approval of the agenda, it was my intention, there was a notice of motion that has come forward to be added as item 7, and I do need a mover and a seconder to adopt that. Can you, thank you.
Yes, and also to remove the in-camera portion, that item has moved to August 25th, so that's no longer necessary.
Okay. So just for clarity, so notice of motion will be 7.0, Councillor Ward's notice of motion. And then, okay, thank you.
Move all 3 items.
Okay, moved by Councillor Jansen. Councillor Day has a question, which is what throws me off sometimes. Okay, seconded by Councillor Grove. Go ahead, Councillor
I
Day.
just wanted to ask that the road infrastructure project prioritization be debated rather than being on the consent agenda.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. The intention behind putting these matters on the consent agenda for council is council just litigated this in the committee of the whole. So in order to speed up this process rather than going through that process again, the intention was that these would fit under the consent agenda, and this is typically how most municipalities deal with matters of committee of the whole. If the matters came forward and members weren't here, that would be appropriate for members to make those comments then as well. But that's a governance best practice.
I would just answer that I believe that as a councillor, I have the right to consider and reconsider things. And in the brief break between that meeting and this meeting, I have reconsidered and would like to be able to vote on that again. Whereas if it's on the consent agenda, then I would have to vote against something that I'm not opposed to.
Okay, Councillor Day, so would you like to pull that item? Can you be clear on exactly what item you want to pull from the consent agenda, and we'll add it to new business?
There's no number on it, but the road infrastructure project prioritization.
So that is item 6.2 on the current consent agenda. So we can pull 6.2. And that will become 8.7. Okay, thank you. So next we're moving on to what is now item 7. So notice of motion. If I can ask the CAO to read the notice of motion from Councillor Ward, please.
So there is a notice of motion from Councillor Ward, and it was submitted on July 7th. It's regarding the designation of Metchosin Road widening as a top priority transportation infrastructure project. Whereas the City of Colwood's Transportation Master Plan serves as the guiding document for planning, prioritizing, and implementing road, transit, and active transportation improvements. And whereas Metchosin Road is a critical north-south arterial collector serving residents, businesses, emergency services, and regional commuters. And whereas the existing configuration of Metchosin Road experiences recurring congestion, safety concerns, and lacks sufficient infrastructure for active transportation and transit users. And whereas the City of Colwood is experiencing ongoing population and development growth, increasing demand on the Metchosin Road corridor. And whereas improved capacity, safety, and multimodal infrastructure along Metchosin Road aligns with the city's strategic priorities for mobility, livability, and sustainable urban developments. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Colwood Council amends the Transportation Master Plan to designate the widening of Metchosin Road as the city's top priority transportation infrastructure project, and that this project include the following elements subject to technical and community consultation. Widening of Metchosin Road from 2 to 3 or 4 lanes where feasible between Souk Road and Lagoon Road or Latoria, or a terminus determined through detailed design. In integration of protected cycling infrastructure and pedestrian multi-use pathways, intersection upgrades and signalization improvements to enhance safety and reduce congestion, transit supportive features such as bus pullouts and shelters, upgraded stormwater management and underground utilities in conjunction with roadworks, and that staff be directed to initiate a corridor study and preliminary design in 2025, incorporate the project into the city's capital works and 5-year financial plan, seek funding through the federal and provincial infrastructure programs, and engage with residents, First Nations, emergency services, and regional stakeholders throughout the planning process. Given that this is a notice of motion, this would be included on the agenda for August 25th.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So moving on, so what was item 7 is now item 8, new business. Again, just a reminder that for staff presentations, they will now have 10 minutes to get through their presentation. And just to help me to ensure efficiency at the meeting tonight, I'd like to ask council to reserve questions only during the presentations and commentary for at the end when there is a motion on the floor. It would help me to keep things moving along this evening. So I will let our CAO, Mr. Johnson, introduce item 8.1.
Thank you, Chair. This is the Traffic Safety Initiatives Program. There is a presentation that Mr. Pettipies would be providing to Council. The recommendation is that a weighted consideration be given to areas surrounding parks, schools, and safe routes to schools when evaluating and prioritizing traffic concerns. That the Traffic Safety Initiatives Program scoring criteria as outlined in Appendix 1 of the report be endorsed as the guiding framework for evaluating traffic safety concerns across the city, and that staff be directed to apply the approved scoring criteria to develop a prioritized list of traffic safety initiative projects for future improvements using the allocated $100,000 of program budget. And further, that staff be directed to return to the committee with a proposed project list following application of the matrix prior to initiating any detailed design or treatment selection. There is a presentation should you wish to receive it, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, there is a presentation happening? Yes, please. I think Council, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So through the chair, I'm going to speak to our traffic safety initiatives program and the scoring criteria framework as part of this program. Just to start, we're quite happy with this initiative. It's been developed in-house based on extensive staff research and review. And although it's a living document, we're quite happy with this first iteration and look forward to implementing improvements through the program. Just a heads up, I do have appendix slides at the end of this presentation, just regarding each of the 18 different criteria. So if you have questions specific to those criteria, please reserve that to the end and we can look at it then. So just to go over an overview of the program and the purpose of the report that was brought to the committee. It presented the draft scoring criteria for the program and seeks council's endorsements of the framework. And it also outlines the next steps for the program. Just to touch on the strategic alignment, this aligns with the infrastructure and well-being initiatives within the strategic plan and reinforces the OCP objectives of improving safety, comfort, and convenience for walking and cycling. Some background on the program. So it started, we started the program in 2024 by formalizing the Traffic Safety Initiatives Program budget. This originated from a high volume of residents reporting traffic safety concerns. Just for context, we started our Tempest program in 2023, and since then we've received about 99 different traffic safety concerns. So this program is established for an equitable evaluation of those concerns and prioritizing them for implementation. And just the visual on this presentation is a heat map that we're hoping to work with GIS to develop a heat map on where these concerns are in Colwood. It's an example, it's not what's currently observed. So some background on the matrix itself. The scoring criteria was based or created through evaluation of a number of technical, strategic, and policy documentation. A lot of those are listed up here. For an example, I won't list them all out, but some of them include the Transportation Master Plan, TAC geometric design guidelines, programs from other municipalities, and standards from the province and federal government. So for the matrix, there are 4 key categories, which include existing conditions and user comfort, land use and context, street character, and traffic. And these 4 categories are applied to 4 different treatments, which is how we've categorized the residents' traffic safety concerns into bike, sidewalk, crosswalk, and traffic calming initiatives. So to provide an example of the program and what the matrix will look like if endorsed tonight by council, here's an example of a concern regarding traffic calming on Kelly Road and Marlene Drive. So on Kelly Road, for context, it receives high level of pedestrian and cyclist activity. It's a playground zone, has a transit stop, and Marlene Drive has a curvy alignment and frequent speeding concerns, and it does have close proximity to school zones. So how will that be implemented in our scoring matrix? And this is an example where you would see Kelly Road, and for things like proximity to the bus stop, conflict points, its proximity to the park zone, sort of scoring high on within the matrix. And then that's the scoring for Marlene Drive. So the higher the score essentially moves it higher up in our prioritization of the projects. And we hope to return with a list of all the projects and their priorities in helping determine where to start with our budget. So next steps, we're here tonight for seeking endorsement. We will, once we receive that, we will apply the approved matrix to evaluate and rank and identify traffic safety concerns. And then with that, we'll return to council with the prioritized project list and seek direction for delivery of these projects. That's the recommendation from committee, which has been amended as in the minutes. And that's all for the initial part of this presentation. Now I do have the appendix slides if there's any that we want to go into individually, but given tonight's wholesome agenda, I didn't want to start with that.
Thank you for that. There are questions. I see Councillor Jansen.
Thank you, Tyler. As I recall at committee, there was some talk about weighting the matrix in favor of the, what was it, the nearby parks and schools and what have you. So did that get tossed into the algorithm?
Yes, there was a lot of good recommendations from the committee, including incorporating the Ready Step Roll program as one of our council members recommended, and a lot of the, or all of those have been considered in the matrix. And that specific concern about or comment about the proximity to schools and parks is what has been amended within the recommendation tonight. Apologies. Yeah, so weighted consideration will be given to areas around schools, parks, and safe routes to school.
Thank you. I'm happy to move the staff recommendation now or whenever you're ready.
Councillor Day has a question, so we'll yield.
I was
Go ahead.
just wondering, since our meeting and having reviewed the report thoroughly at that time and come up with some suggestions, one more has occurred to me, and that is to look at trending safety. The latest data, when you look at the ICBC data, it tells us that VMP and Latoria are rapidly increasing in the number of crashes that are being experienced there. They've approximately doubled in the last couple of years. So just wonder if that could be added as a consideration in your matrix. I realize the matrix is not just one thing, it's a bunch of things, which was clearly demonstrated by looking at Kelly and Marlene. That, you know, if you look at one aspect, you might say, oh, it should be this road. But if you look at a different aspect, maybe it should be that road. But so I just thought that was one consideration that should also be thrown in, is the trending, where we are seeing exponential increases.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Does anyone else have any other questions? No, I have one question, and maybe you covered it, but so my question would be, does this matrix prioritize where we put sidewalks, speed bumps for traffic calming and crosswalks?
Sidewalks. It prioritizes the concerns that we've received from residents and the number of projects that have built up from that list. So I guess in that regard, it does prioritize that,
does
and then
cover that.
ultimately we will return with that prioritized list of projects for council to select.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. So if there's no other question, no, Councillor Grove. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Do we have a number now of incidents or reports that we're starting with?
Are you referring to the number of areas to target for traffic safety upgrades?
Well, yeah, but you respond to resident complaint or incident?
As of the committee meeting, we had 40 different projects accumulated. So that's the number as of the committee meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think that was it. Thanks.
Oh, yes, please go ahead, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to clarify with regards to your question with projects. This would not substitute our capital program with regards to our major initiatives in the 5-year financial plan. These are potentially ancillary and are complementary to our capital program. So this is just the one budget item with regards to the $100,000 we're going to spend on an annual basis on traffic initiatives. So in addition to that, we still will have capital programs where we'll add sidewalks, bike lanes, and so on throughout the city.
Okay.
They'll be much greater in dollar value moving forward. So this is really just to address concerns of the citizens as they come up.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we do have a recommendation. Councillor Jansen made the motion, seconded by Councillor Grove. So we'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Nobody is opposed. So that motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item 8.2. CAO, would you like to introduce our next speaker?
Thank you, Chair. This is the draft building retrofit strategy. Our climate planner, Carolyn Richmond, and Lisa Westerhoff, our lead consultant, will be providing a presentation. The recommendation is that council endorse the building retrofit strategy and direct staff to use this strategy as a guiding document for initial implementation, and the draft building retrofit strategy be referred to the Parks and Environment Committee for review and comment. And there is a presentation, and we will start the clock if you wish, Chair.
We're on 8.2. We're on 8.2, which is what was 7.2 is now 8.2. Okay. Please go ahead with the presentation. Sorry.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Thank you for your time tonight on this item. As we present to you a draft building retrofit strategy for the city. You've previously received a technical report that informed this strategy. And tonight's presentation, I'm going to minimize me and hand over quickly in a moment to Lisa Westerhoff, our lead consultant on the project, and we're happy to have here for the presentation and to help us answer your questions tonight. And just wanted to provide you with a few quick contexts. This is our project, part of our project team. So Lisa and myself have been working with the support of Byron Grant and other staff across departments and consultants with Introba and Modus. So it's been a great team working on this since last spring. Spring 2024, that is. So the building retrofit strategy is a priority project from the adopted climate action plan and was funded through the 2024-2025 budget. And as noted on May 1st, Council was provided with a technical report to this strategy that helped inform the development of the strategy. So I'm very pleased to hand over to Lisa, who's going to tell you more about the strategy and the results of this work.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Nice to be here. So I'm going to go through fairly quickly as I know we have a short time limit here, so I'm happy to return to any slide if you have any questions on any of the details. But as Carolyn mentioned, this is work that was, that's sort of founded in the 2023 Climate Action Plan, and the work that was completed as part of that plan did indicate that a large portion of the emissions across the Colwood community do come from the building sector. 26% of building sector emissions come from residential buildings in particular, and 66% of those come from the burning of natural gas for heating and domestic hot water. We know that homes and buildings are also the site of where we are feeling climate impacts or the impacts of a warming climate. So as we move further into the depths of the summer, we know that extreme heat events and air quality events as a result of wildfires, both locally and further away, can impact our health right where we live. So these are the foundational kind of notions or trends at the heart of this work. And the strategy really is designed to help accelerate retrofits or building upgrades that can help reduce those emissions, increase energy efficiency, and increase the climate resilience of our homes and our buildings here in the community. These are goals that are also in line with your commitment and your targets to reduce emissions by 30% by 2030 and to net zero by 2050. It's worth noting that these are still in alignment with the provincial's targets, the province's targets as well, which are to reduce emissions 40% by 2030 and also net zero by 2050. However, we know that reducing emissions from existing homes and buildings is, no easy task. It requires a number of owners of homes and buildings to complete upgrades on their homes. And so we really do need a way to sort of think about how to support them in doing so. When we look across the literature, I'm not going to spend too long on the slide, but there are a number of kind of categories of challenges that many owners will face when they're looking to upgrade a home. They may not have the information they need to know where to start. What are the upgrades that work well for them? They may, even if they do have that information, they may not have the time to engage in a really complex decision-making process. There are obviously costs that come along with upgrades, both expected and unexpected. There's also the risk of disruption or even displacement of any tenants that may be in those buildings. Both owners and yourselves at the municipality are, hard pressed to find really good information on which homes need the support the most and how we can best support them, especially in the context where natural gas is, significantly cheaper than electricity at this time. And we also have to make sure that there's a qualified pool of available contractors to do the work so that we can actually do this in a timely and coordinated fashion. So a lot of things to think about. Fortunately, there is a really great emergent landscape of policies and programs at all three tiers of government above the municipality. So federally, we continue to see financing options and rebates made available for upgrades for homeowners. At the provincial level, there's been a commitment to implement a highest efficiency equipment standard by 2030, which would see all new and existing heating and hot water equipment be 100% efficient, so very highly efficient. So all upgrades would have to achieve that level. They also continue to provide a range of rebates for many upgrades for heat pumps and other measures. We also see at both the provincial and the regional levels a number of great programs that have emerged over the last couple of years that help homeowners of single family homes, of strata, and even of rental buildings really understand how to complete the retrofit process. So lots of good stuff going on. However, there's still a very important role for Colwood to play in making sure that your residents here enjoy the benefits and the opportunities that all of these programs and rebates can afford them, and also to fill any potential gaps that are left behind in this landscape. So to help decide what we would actually ultimately include into the building retrofit strategy, we started with a bit of a scan of what the best practices are that are out there. What are some of the neighboring municipalities on the island and elsewhere doing? But then we really wanted to ground that information in the concerns and the challenges that are faced here by homeowners and building owners in Colwood. We also wanted to make sure that anything that we put in the strategy would be vetted by staff here at the municipality, but also supported by municipal governments in the region, because working together is more effective and more efficient. So this is just a snapshot of the engagement events that we undertook over the course of the last year or so, and there's a summary in the package that you were provided of the actual outcomes of that research, or that engagement, I should say. So ultimately, what went into the plan was a set of 5 different action areas, totaling 21 actions in total. These were designed to address those barriers that I mentioned, to align with and help support the achievement of your climate action targets, and also to help you monitor your progress towards those targets over time. So I'm just going to give a very quick snapshot of each of those different 5 areas, and I will cross my fingers that we're under the 10 minutes when I'm done. All right, so the first one is all about getting information on current home and building performance. This is an area where we lack good information. And so both owners and yourselves need to know where to start so that we can target programs and policies more effectively. These actions really are all about getting that information. So that includes things like asking homeowners to voluntarily disclose what kind of energy systems they have in their home. It also includes requirements for large building owners to annually report and disclose their energy and emissions performance. The second group of actions is all about outreach and support. So that's about connecting home and building owners with the information and the resources they need in order to know how to move through this upgrade process. So this includes primarily support for homeowners. It also will include support for connecting strata owners to existing programs, and also providing information for commercial building owners, realtors, and renovators. The third action area is all about funding and financing. So this is really about meeting closing that cost barrier or cost gap. So some key actions here include exploring what kinds of rebates could help fill current gaps in that existing landscape. It also includes exploring the use of municipal taxes as a way to encourage low carbon resilient mechanical systems, with an example ongoing just north of here in District of Saanich, already underway. It also includes partnering with regional municipalities to advocate for continued financial support from the provincial level, and to just keep an eye on how PACE programs are going in other areas. And I can explain what that is if you'd like. Fourth is all around retrofit requirements. It's worth noting here actually that local governments in British Columbia don't have a whole lot of authority when it comes to regulating existing buildings, but there are a couple of key actions that we identified that would be in line with your climate action targets. One would be to explore a program to support and possibly eventually require the removal of oil heating equipment from single family homes. This is a very carbon emissions intense system. It also is quite expensive to run and represents a bit of a low hanging fruit in that sense. There's also an action here to support the province and volunteer for early adoption of the highest efficiency equipment standard. And am I out of time? That's what that means. Okay.
I think, are we close to the end of
We
the-
are. This is the last one.
I think, please go
Okay,
ahead. and
apologies.
finish.
I thought I was going so
Thank
fast.
you.
All right, the last one here, ending on a positive note, helping to support healthy and safe buildings. So a couple of key actions here around supporting the development of a resilience dashboard to help raise awareness among homeowners of what climate risks they can face or are facing and what they can do about them, and exploring a maximum indoor temperature bylaw that would help safeguard the health and safety of folks in their homes during heat events.
All right, I'll just wrap it up to say this is a collaborative effort and hopefully, and we feel pretty confident about what's recommended in here with all the consultation that we've done. And this is a staff recommendation, but it sounds like there might be a section I missed on that. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Yes.
Carolyn. I'd like to point out that's Councillor Grove there in that picture. A long time ago, your hair's brown. Thank you. I'll open the floor to council for any questions. Does anyone have any questions for staff? No, I actually do have one question. Each of the strategic priorities has a rough order of magnitude costing, but it's not clear which ones will have the greatest impact on GHG reductions. And I'm just wondering, is the goal to implement those priorities that will have the biggest impact on GHG reductions? And if so, which ones?
Thanks for the question. I think to somewhat answer your question, there's a lot of considerations that go into what we can prioritize, including capacity, staff capacity and opportunities, what we're able to do at this time. So we've definitely considered the ability and the impact to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the prioritization, but it's not the only factor. Did you want to? Yeah.
Sure. I can just add also, I mean, I think the package of actions together are, of course, the most impactful, but those that fall under the kind of retrofit requirements section tend to be the ones with the greatest impact, of course, because they are, you know, moving towards compelling action rather than supporting it by way of education or incentive.
That's great. Thank you. Oh, I see Councillor Day.
I just wanted to congratulate you on the report. It was a long time in the making. It captures a very broad set of issues, and it wasn't single focused. For example, your note about trees and tree canopy and trying to retain that, it makes a huge difference. And I just think it's, you know, that's a step that not everyone sees. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Councillor Grove.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, there's many things, of course, that can be, it could be in the document, and there's a lot of comments I think it could make, but it wouldn't stop me from just making the motion to adopt. For instance, oil tanks. Years ago, the insurance company said I had to get mine out of the house because the insurance company wanted it, and the cost to relocate it was ridiculous. So, of course, it disappeared. But anyway, it just caught my eye. So I would be happy to. I think you're asking for adoption and then referral to the Parks and Environment Committee for review and comment. I would do that if we're ready for that.
I'd be happy to read the recommendation. So the recommendation is that council endorse the building retrofit strategy and direct staff to use this strategy as a guiding document for initial implementation, and that the draft building retrofit strategy be referred to the Parks and Environment Committee for review and comment. So can I get, no, I guess you'll be the mover, Councillor Grove, and the seconder, Councillor Jordison. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Nobody is opposed. So motion carried. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Okay, so with that, we're moving to item what was 7.3 and is now 8.3. And I know that we have a resident here that would like to speak to this item. So would you like to wait until, would I have him come up and speak now, Mr. Johnson? Yes. Okay, Mr. Willing, would you like to come up? We're at item 8.3, which is the waterfront stewardship plan. Did you want to address council? Okay, so we have more folks. Okay. Farley, I didn't see your hand go up and I mentioned it, but we will certainly, so we have 3 members, I believe, of the public that would like to speak. So we'll grant them that opportunity. So Mr. Willing, I'll invite you up first. Please come on up. So just a reminder, when you push the button, please state your first and last name, your address if you're not comfortable with your address, just where you approximately live. And you will have 2 minutes. When the light is green, that means go. When it's amber, that means you're halfway through. And when it's red, that means your time is up. So please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Glenn Willing. I live at 3434 Grattan Road. And to Madam Chair, members of the council, and staff, I'm here tonight a bit blindsided as to what is going on with the future of the foreshore. I've been on this committee for approximately five years. Nothing has happened yet. Some of us are getting a little frustrated with the fact that we have done nothing. There's no shovels in the ground. I was down on the beach today that the feds were here and give us over $6 million. And I thought we had a good mandate and we were going in a good direction. But something happened a few meetings ago and everything went silent. And now I don't know where we are, what direction, where we're going. But if this continues, it's going to be a lot of load upon us to, if we want to do another term of this, kick at it, because I'm getting a lot of feedback from people who are saying, when is something going to happen? I spent 42 years at ConAg working there, and I have never spent this long on any project that we ever did on site or whatever else. It just didn't happen. But it's the unknown, and it's some of the stuff that is going on is really bad. And unfortunately, I believe online should be between a member of the committee and the chair. It should not be CC'd to everybody on the street because it destroys the purpose of the committee. And I think you know where I'm coming from for any of you that have been reading any of the other stuff that's been going back and forth. I just hope we can get it straightened out and finally get something done for the people of Colin on the lagoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willing. Ms. Gibbons or Mr. Kate? Ms. Gibbons. So just a reminder to please state your first and last name, and thank you.
My name is Sarah Gibbons. I reside at 611 Brookside Road. Good evening, Mayor. Well, Mayor's not here. Council and staff. I am here as a member of the Waterfront Stewardship Committee. However, I'm speaking tonight as a concerned biologist regarding the Waterfront Stewardship Plan. The potential for a revised stewardship plan with significant compromise to ecological restoration and coastal protection is a huge concern from both a stewardship and ecological perspective. As you are aware, Esquimalt Lagoon is a national bird sanctuary, one of only 7 in Canada. It is a vital ecosystem and plays a crucial role in the region's ecology. I understand the lagoon is a special place for many. It used to be for myself as well. However, that has changed with the increasingly overcapacity of the lagoon, with increased foot traffic and increased vehicle traffic, as well as the unmanaged off-leash dogs, public feeding of the birds, and just people disrespecting the habitats and the wildlife that call them home. So this ecosystem cannot be replaced if it is destroyed by some of the items proposed in the watershed, in the stewardship plan. It's just that simple. The lagoon is not a playground. It is home to many species that cannot thrive in any other ecosystem. The city needs to find a balance between stewardship and human enjoyment to allow for future generations to enjoy the lagoon. It's an unfortunate situation with some of the finance. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Marley, come on up. Thank you.
That was 2 minutes, not 20 minutes. Okay.
2 minutes.
My name's Farley Cates, 3320 Ocean Boulevard. There's quite a few things I'd like to say, but I just want to raise 2 or 3 critical points, at least critical in my mind. Number one, we have different committees operating at the city, and I think the waterfront stewardship is probably the only initiative that really pulls all the various committees together. So I certainly would urge council to consider pulling all the committees together for brainstorming session, having a precise session and talk about what the priorities likely should be. Each month goes by, the budget gets a lot less, so that 6 million by now should be 3.5 million at most when it comes down to it. There's not enough money to do everything, but there are some priorities that have to be set. And I think it's really important to be very clear on how these priorities are going to be set, what kind of variables are going to be applied in setting those priorities. For example, safety related to protection of the ecosystem there, and as well as safety related to how cars and pedestrians are moving through the area. So there's not going to be a lot of things that can get done as part of the waterfront stewardship in terms of projects, but let's figure out how to set some of those priorities. And we need not just the waterfront stewardship, but the environment and parks committee and the transportation committee. It's absolutely critical. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So I just wanted to remind everyone that the recommendation that is on the floor this evening is that the draft of the Colwood Waterfront Stewardship Plan dated June 2025 be forwarded to the Waterfront Stewardship Committee for review and comment. That a detailed update on the Colwood Waterfront Stewardship Plan implementation strategy be provided to council at its regular meeting scheduled for September 8th, 2025. So I believe we have called for potentially a special meeting. We're still waiting for some feedback from a few members of the Waterfront Committee, to which I am the chair. And I do appreciate you coming tonight. I know how much knowledge and expertise there is on that committee, and I look forward to having the opportunity to meet with you over the summer to kind of chew through that waterfront plan, and so when we can really dive into the details and come back to council. So thank you for participating this evening. So are there any questions for council? We are really looking to refer this item to the Waterfront Stewardship Committee. Question, Councillor Day.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, under the financial consideration, so far we've spent $128,000 in developing the plan on consulting fees and materials. And I'm just noticing that prior to endorsing the plan, we need to consult with First Nations. And I just wonder where we are with that consultation, because there's nothing yet in the 2025 to 2029 budget, and we must have some time limitations. So I wonder if staff could let us know.
I think that Yasmin can speak. I do know that I have been told that some of the investment that's been made already with the consulting, that is not money that's gone to waste, that we maybe you can enlighten us where we're at thus far with with the investment that we've spent?
Yes, so I had a presentation plan, but we can go off track. So first of all, maybe I would like to frame it. The document that is being presented tonight is the Waterfront Stewardship Plan. So it is not a project update on the implementation of the project, the walkway project itself, is the goals, principles, and values that are guiding that walkway project. And so I just want to be very clear that the recommendation tonight speaks to forwarding the plan to the Waterfront Stewardship Committee for review and comment. The specific implementation update that will be going to council on September 8th, that is the specifics about the project, and where I think a number of concerns have been raised. So I just want to clarify the expectations so that the committee knows we are debating the principles, the objectives, the values that guide this plan, and a check-in with council, as Councillor Day has mentioned, on July 10th of 2023, so 2 years ago. Council gave us direction to go back for further public input and consult with the nations. We have done that, and the report that is included in your agenda itemizes the comments that we received from the Songhees nations. Staff also presented to the Esquimalt nations at a council meeting in 2024, and no comments were provided. We are engaging with the nations as part of the National Urban Parks, and we sit in conversations with Parks Canada and the nations, speaking to largely the waterfront and their interest on those lands every couple of months that we connect with the nations. So we are in active engagement with the nations through the Parks Canada conversation. But we have summarized in the report the input that we've received. We went through the Lesto Colwood. We received further amendments and edits. So the staff report includes, it's not quite a red line, but it is a detailed table of the last time you saw this plan was 2 years ago and what has changed since then. They are not necessarily material changes, but we would like to highlight, maybe in addition to the First Nations comments and addressing the feedback that they proposed, there were a couple of staff amendments or changes that we are proposing. One of them is to remove the food truck space and services, remove that component from the plan. We know that there's a lot of different opinions at the council table as well as at the committee about the recreation or the intensification of recreational activity along the waterfront. So we are proposing that we remove that conversation and that be revisited at a later time. I think there's core principles and values that are still worth pursuing within the document, and we don't need to resolve the commercial intensification of the waterfront in this plan that focuses on access, on active modes of transportation, and guiding use of the space in a way that is climate resilient and environmentally
I think you've answered my question. I really was just curious. I did read the report about a little while ago, and I wanted to be sure there wasn't some further consultation that was needed with First Nations. So that was my only concern. So I'm quite happy to support the recommendation. And I would suggest that, as Mr. Willing mentioned, it is taking an awfully long time. I know it's a very aspirational plan, but I hope that we can maybe cut the elephant down into meal-sized portions and get some ecological benefits happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dace. Are you moving the recommendation? Great. Can I get a seconder? Counselor Jansen. Any further discussion? Anyone opposed? Nobody's opposed, so that motion is carried. Thank you. So moving on, what was item 7.4 is now item 8.4. And I will turn it over to our CAO, Jason Johnson, and our deputy CAO, Jen. Our deputy CAO, my brain went blank, sorry, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Attached in your agenda is a copy of the revised strategic plan. Council embarked on a process to look at the strategic plan that was initially done in 2024 with the idea of, is there ways that we could combine it together? Is there ways that we could make it more easily readable in a format that the public doesn't have to search through a number of different documents? So attached to the report is a copy of the revised priorities that council has looked at over a number of meetings. And our deputy CAO has a number of other comments that she'd like to make with it as well.
Thank you, Jason. I'll just give a moment while the staff presentation loads. So you'll recall, Council endorsed the 2024 to 27 strategic plan spring of 2024. Really, I would suggest the first time you heard a formal update from the team was with that of the 2025 service review. That was our opportunity to provide comment with the progress that we had made under this plan. You heard from all of the organization's service areas with respect to where we were making progress and where we weren't making progress, and the challenges that we were experiencing. As Jason's just highlighted, the intention here was really to take that existing plan, to refine the focus so that as we move forward under the next 3 calendar years, we are set up to more directly link our operational work plans or the annual work that we are doing for this community with that of the guiding principles and priorities of the refined strategic plan. So we took what was previously 6 pathways and refined it down to these 4 summary pillars, if you will, to really general areas of focus. The purpose of the presentation tonight is to walk through what those areas are. Twofold with the refinement was that of ranking these pillars in order of priority based on the conversations and the feedback from council. And then within each of the pillar areas is ranking the priorities for those. With this, our teams have clear expectation as to what our priorities are and how we're focusing. And similar with previous years, when you hear updates from our teams, we will be ensuring that we are incorporating the works that we're doing within the strategic guiding principles. So to start, we have the top rank is that of strengthening community and sustaining nature. And so really this was looking at what was previously within 2 separate pathways, and we've consolidated those. Council's weighted average ranking of the priorities within this area, starting with continuing to improve access to primary care and community health services, focus on enhancing our parks and our trails, our green spaces, by implementing the infrastructure improvements under our parks management plans, expanding recreational opportunities, and then supporting public safety by strengthening emergency response and community education in partnership with RCMP and fire. You'll recall our previous strategic plan was about a 46-page document. It outlined a number of priorities. Teams were often found that we were having to reprioritize. And so the intention here is that we've really streamlined those. And we will continue to sort of align with what the top 3 are as directed by council as we move forward. Next item of business on the council agenda tonight is the introduction of an operational plan and how we will be introducing dashboards and eventually performance metrics so that we can have sort of more easily digestible updates in terms of the progress that the city is making. The next primary area of focus is that of investing in our infrastructure, ensuring that we're providing safe, sustainable infrastructure and connected transportation networks. So we're prioritizing road and intersection upgrades for safety and mobility, finalizing plans for our municipal facilities to meet our operational needs as well as the needs of our community. And determining public desire for sewer expansion with clarity about funding, timeline, and capacity considerations. I would suggest the majority of our current initiatives, of which we have 174, rest within this pillar. And you have the updates on those in the next item there. Third area of focus is the pursuing economic growth and vitality. We support business growth, employment opportunities, tax-based diversification. Under the current strategic plan, this, I would suggest, has the sort of least amount of focus given where our priorities have laid within the other areas of our strat plan. But moving forward, we're going to look at opportunities for new commercial and entertainment districts, leverage new development to secure new and desired community amenities, looking at funding programs to support the ability to do so, the establishment of an economic development select committee. And then lastly, continuing with a focus in that of governance, providing excellence in governance and services. We're going to continue to build trust by providing efficient public services, involving residents in transparent decision-making processes, and regular reporting to ensure accountability. So this effort to streamline, to refine our strategic plan is within the focus of this area of our current strategic plan. The introduction of an operational plan and really refining how we are reporting out on the works that we're doing and the services we're providing is also under this pillar here. And so in summary, that is the refined strategic plan that we will continue to integrate into every update that we're bringing before this council, including our operational and our quarterly financial updates, and as well giving consideration as we annually, excuse me, as we annually look to reaffirm what the next year's work plan looks like and where our area of focus is. Because inevitably best laid plans, there will be insertions of work, there will need to be reprioritizations based on what the city is experiencing. So pleased to answer any questions that you may have, but there is a recommendation that council adopt this refined strategic plan as our guiding document and direct staff to integrate it into our quarterly reporting updates.
Thank you, Ms. Hepting. There it is. Does council have any questions for Councillor Grove?
Thank you, Chair. The only thing I think of off the top is I don't see the arts represented, arts and culture represented there in any way. Is that not, is that in there in a form that I don't recognize, or how would that be dealt with?
Through the chair, I would suggest in part the vitality as well as the strengthening of the community.
Yeah.
But it is not explicitly mentioned to the extent that was previously under the previous strategic plan.
Right. Well, it is there. There it is. I found it. How could I read that 4 times and not see it? It's in the yellow one. Yeah. Promote community engagement, social connection through events, arts, culture, and volunteerism. Sorry. I did read it 4 times. That's how long it takes to get through my skull. Thanks.
Any further questions? Councillor Day.
I really struggle with this one because I realize this is an aspirational document, but there's a real lack of details available to the public in Colwood currently, and reporting out has not been happening. Building numbers are not easily available. Sewer flows are not easily available, and the reported numbers that are reported out to staff, to council, are not matching with what the CRD has or even what our website has. So I guess at this point in time, I can just hope for better. But I don't think that we can address the real issues for Colwood if we don't know about them. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm quite happy to endorse this revised plan. I think that personally, I think we nailed it. So I'm looking for Councillor Grove, seconder. So I will, if there's no further questions or discussion, I will call the question. Is anybody opposed? Councillor Day is opposed. Motion is carried. Thank you. So we'll move on to item 8.5. Jason, would you like to introduce yourself? And
Thank you. This is the operational plan. The recommendation is that council receive the operational plan implementation report for information, and that council endorse the continued use of the operational plan framework and dashboard for organizational performance monitoring, and that council directs staff to provide quarterly updates on the overall operational plan. What you'll see in the report is a culmination of all of the work that staff has put together to show in great detail what is going to be done in the upcoming year. There are 174 initiatives worth approximately $162 million. The intention behind providing this information to council and the public is so that you can see exactly what's being proposed, who's responsible for that work, what the budget is, and whether or not it's on track, whether or not it's at risk. There are a number of components that go within this. What you'll see is we've got the strategic plan on this agenda. We've got the operational plan on this agenda. Next agenda, we'll have the financial plan overview, the quarterly update for the financial plan, as well as the motions. Council will recall a number of months ago, we brought forward all of the outstanding motions. The intention is to bring all of these plans together at one update for council. So it's going to be a busy meeting, but it will have everything contained within it so that council can put your stamp on it. So things like where you're talking about the transportation master plan, that's within this plan, and you can see it's assigned to engineering. You can see the timeline to complete. And if council's unhappy with what those timelines are, my 10 minutes is up. If council is unhappy with what is within the timing, council can say, we'd like a report. What are the implications of moving the transportation master plan forward in 2025? What items will no longer will be able to address because we're moving that up in priority? Earlier tonight in the committee of the whole meeting, or earlier today in the committee of the whole meeting, we deferred the survey for sewer. Well, that has implications on this work plan, right? That now has been deprioritized a little bit because we couldn't get to it, which means the timing of that could potentially be something that we should be looking at. And what this report does is it highlights that for council. Our Deputy CAO, Ms. Hepting, has more to provide within this, but I know we're both very proud of the work that our organization has done to put this together. I'll tell you, when we originally put this together, I was thinking one of those old school Excel lists, which shows everything within it. And our staff came forward with, coming forward with Power BI, which provides this in a live snapshot. So you can see what's happening. But what's important is this is a work in progress, right? We're going to add to it. This is our first cut. And what we want to make sure is that this is meeting council's expectations. This will become the report card for the organization. This is how we will report on how well we did. It's not our annual report. It's actually this operational plan, our quarterly updates, the strategic plan, all of the motions, all that comes together to show what performance looks like for Colwood. Ms. Hepting.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So I guess the motion is to receive the recommendation. Ms. Hepting, please.
Pleased to walk council through sort of what the intention
Oh,
is
great.
of this operational plan. Council receives a number of regular reports throughout the year, typically quarterly financial updates, and then of course the annual service review, where we really look to reaffirm the areas of focus for the upcoming year. This operational plan is intended to ensure that as the year progresses, we are providing quarterly updates on how we are actualizing against the priorities that have been set for the organization, as well as initiatives established under service review and within the financial plan as we monitor those. Typically, in recent years, we're really providing quarterly financial updates and not necessarily explicit updates on the timeline or highlighting and providing easily digestible information in terms of how our priorities are actualizing. So when we refer to the 174 initiatives, that's based on the direction that was received last fall. So Colwood has 66 priorities. That's based on top 3 within, call it 21 service areas, plus building and bylaw at 6 priorities. The value of the work that we are doing is 162 million, slightly skewed by the RCMP detachment expansion. That value is within there. And so what we are looking to do is that this will absolutely be streamlined and integrated with our financial updates moving forward. So for the 3rd quarter this year, you'll receive this dashboard updated and integrated with the financial update at that same time. And the intention is that we are highlighting the initiatives, and I should preface this by saying the detail for this first operational plan is within the staff report, appendices 1 through 7 of the staff report that's on the agenda before you, highlighting the information by both service area as well as department, highlighting the statuses, both how are we actualizing with the budget, how are we actualizing with the timeline of these initiatives, and then where are we overall. As we move forward, this work will really enable the teams to focus in on initiatives that are at risk and to understand, how are we reprioritizing our efforts and our capacity so that we can accommodate some of the challenges that we are experiencing. And so as you can see, with budget, overall, the majority of our initiatives, we are on track. We do have 3 initiatives that are highlighted. The detail for all is included within Appendix 7 of the staff report, but we do have 3 overall that are at risk for the budget. And you will be receiving comprehensive updates from the project teams on those. One of those initiatives is that of the implementation of our waterfront stewardship plan. September 8th, the team will be returning to Chambers with an update on the implementation and how that project is actualizing. And so right here is a snapshot as of the 2nd quarter of this year of how our initiatives are trending overall. So the majority are on track, and we will be highlighting, and the staff report did provide detail on each of the 6 initiatives that are at risk, and that detail is within the staff report. And so what we did want to highlight is that with these at risk, this is where we are now looking at ensuring that we have the sufficient project management teams in place, and that we do have the sufficient supports in place. There will be updates coming with respect to the Public Works Operations Facility and in terms of the works that we are doing to continue to support that initiative. The waterfront plan will be returning in September, as well with the 2nd quarter financial update. We'll hear more detail with respect to our Growing Communities Fund and the investments within our parks implementations and how we are continuing to move with some of those implementations despite the challenges that we're having with respect to the Colwood Creek Park implementation.
Ms. Hepting, Councillor Day
Yeah.
has a question, so I'm just gonna, 1 second.
Just on the slide, I was trying to interpret the color rating for your circles, and there's no legend.
Through the chair, thank you very much for that feedback. There should be a legend. So the red is to indicate that it's at risk. So in these instances, all at risk. I'm unclear why there is an orange. I believe it should be at risk. But it could be that the budget of that initiative is being monitored, I believe, but the timeline and the status overall are at risk. But yes, we should have a legend so that it's clear on this slide. Did want to highlight in addition, the intention here is not to add to our team's workloads in terms of reporting out through for an operational update as well as a financial update, and considering the tools that we are utilizing to provide those updates. So as you will recall, one of our priorities is that of replacing our budget tool, and that replacement is well underway, and we do expect that we will be able to utilize that tool to help provide some of this reporting documentation for future updates. 2025 will certainly be a year of transition. And then we expect to have that tool up and running for 2026 and including the reporting. So pleased to answer any other questions or considerations as we refine this process moving forward.
Oh, Councillor Grove, please
you.
go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any questions. I would just like to endorse this plan, and I think it's very exciting. I'm not even sure why yet. I know I haven't seen it all, but it's already ringing in a way that jives with a lot of the way I think, and I think it's going to be a very, very useful document, and I'm looking forward to seeing it come forward with the other elements. So that would be me recommending moving the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Jordison will second. I have a question. I think this is great because I'm a visual person, so I really like the way this is laid out. My question would be, would this be the format that we would receive quarterly, like as we're seeing it here today? And if so, would you be highlighting, like if something moves from monitoring to complete, like just letting us know, hey, here's the next report, and we've highlighted the changes so that we can. That's just a quick, yeah, important.
Yeah,
Thank you.
what we would do is we will highlight the significant changes that we've seen,
Okay.
whether it's something that has been deferred, like with what we did today with the survey of sewer, that deprioritizes that work for a month while we try and deal with that. So those are all the things that we're going to highlight at the top of the report. There will be an overarching report on the top that will indicate those areas that we think council should look at, but you'll have all of this data. We hope to be able to get to a point of being able to have the dashboard live, but we're not there yet. This will be the snapshot when the report is done with the data that we have to date. We have some pretty exciting stuff coming with the new technology that we have. What Ms. Hepting was saying about the Questica software, which is the financial software, it is quite a robust tool, and you can publish online, show it and link it to GIS data to show where all the improvements are coming. This is a small example of the things that we're going to be able to provide for council and the public to have some transparency about what's getting done with people and their tax dollars. So you can see, and obviously, as Ms. Hepting said, the $103 million for the RCMP building does skew these numbers somewhat. So there are some caveats that go there. And what's really important for council is we want to make sure that we're meeting the mark. So if there's additional things that you would like in here, or if it's too much information, or you'd like less or more of that, it helps us build that robust program for council. Ms. Hepting, I'm not sure if there's anything you wanted to add.
I think just to add, similar to, the one-page summary that typically accompanies the quarterly financial updates, that is where we would expect to be highlighting where there have been significant shifts or just anything that we believe we should be drawing
those summaries would be great rather than having to look for the information. But no, I think this is really great. So I appreciate all the work that's gone into it. I will, Councillor Jordison.
Thank you. I just had a question about the quarterly updates. I'm confused just from the other recommendations that council has made, that deck that was there. in regards to like when, like, can we have dates or some sort of indication as to what that actually means? Thanks.
We're going to provide a report at the beginning of the year that clearly articulates when you're going to expect those quarterly updates. Our issue that we've had is the strategic plan's been under review. We've been developing the operational plan. The quarterly financial report is in progress as well. And the intention is to bring all of that together. In the next report that we bring for the financial quarterly update, will also include the dates of when you can expect to see the quarterly reports for the remainder of the year. So it's really clear and meeting council's expectations.
Councillor Day.
I just wanted to provide feedback that I find those circular graphs with portions allotted to all the different categories very difficult to read, especially they tend to have very small font for the labels of all of those things. So a bar graph might translate better. I don't know, but I just thought I'd to let you know that I find that very hard to. It's not very intuitive for me, at least. Maybe others feel the same, but maybe not. So, but for me, I find those circle graphs, you know, very hard to compare. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Okay, is there any further discussion or questions? No. So do we have a mover? Councillor Grove was a mover and the seconder was Councillor Jordison. Okay, so we'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to the recommendation? Nobody is opposed, so the motion is carried. Thank you. Before we move into item 8.6, can we take a quick 5-minute recess? Please, thank you. Sorry, Rachel. She's waiting so patiently. Okay, thank you, everyone. So we will carry on. What was item 7.6 is now 8.6. Mr. Johnson, if you'd like to introduce staff for this
Thank you.
item.
Thank you. This was a presentation that the mayor had asked that it be put on the agenda. The mayor was having a meeting with a constituent and asked for a backgrounder on Bill 44. And our planner, Ms. Bosworth, put this together, and the mayor thought that this would be a good idea to bring it forward for council, with the understanding as well that there's a workshop that's upcoming. And we were talking as staff today about the workshop and inviting the province of BC to come and sit in on our workshop, since a lot of these bills and regulations have come from the province, and it would be nice for somebody from the province to be there as well to help us go through this. Now, the recommendation is that council direct staff to organize a workshop on Bill 44, extending invitations to council members as well as the Planning and Land Use Committee and the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And I would also make an amendment that we add the province of BC to further help us understand and go through these workshops together. With that, there is a presentation if council wishes to receive it. Chair Wilson.
Do I need a motion to receive that then? For the presentation? No? Okay, yeah, let's go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, Council. So this evening, what we really hope to do is provide some foundational information about Bill 44 and the context for the City of Colwood. As per the project schedule that we presented to you in February and then an update in April, we are returning to you on August 25th, and it will be a committee of the whole meeting. And each member of our team will be presenting their deliverable on the Bill 44 project. And we're going to be categorizing amendments into housekeeping amendments, big move amendments, and mandated amendments. So we really hope to answer a lot of questions at that meeting. I also, before I begin, just want to highlight that the Local Government Act does now include a requirement for municipalities to consider policy manuals and guidelines that they issue. That is an obligation that staff have to ensure that we do consider all of those manuals. So that is just a step that we have done throughout this entire process, and to determine if it's appropriate within the City of Colwood context. So to start, I just wanted to do another high-level review of what Bill 44 is. So Bill 44 is the Housing Residential Amendment Act, which was part of the province's Homes for People Action Plan, which really seeks to accelerate housing in our community. Bill 44 has two main components. So small scale multi-unit housing, which requires municipalities to amend their land use bylaw to permit small scale multi-unit housing. So that is a requirement from the province. The other part of Bill 44 is called proactive planning. So as part of that, municipalities are all required to develop a housing needs report. Our housing needs report was completed in December of 2024. And the housing needs report essentially provides the housing needs for our community for the next 5 and 20 years. And then the next part of the proactive planning piece is to ensure that our OCP and land use bylaw are aligned to ensure that we can accommodate our housing needs. And then the link that brings Bill 44 back together is that the units that we gain through permitting small scale multi-unit housing can be used to account and accommodate our housing needs. So that's sort of the link back between small scale multi-unit housing and proactive planning. So next, I just wanted to do a comparison of housing needs versus housing target. So these are two new terms by the province and have seemed to be used interchangeably, but they are quite different. So I just wanted to clarify what the difference is. So starting with housing needs, as I was just discussing, that is a requirement under Bill 44. So all municipalities must develop a housing needs report. that is a requirement every 5 years for every municipality to do. And the housing needs report must include the housing needs for the next 5 and 20 years. The province does provide a pretty specific methodology of how to come up with those numbers. There's 7 types of housing needs that you must identify within those reports. And housing needs are more of an analytical and planning tool, and it's really intended to ensure that the municipality can demonstrate through their OCP and land use bylaw that you can accommodate your housing needs. And that is conducted through a capacity analysis. Housing targets, however, is for specific municipalities with a specific number intended. You must demonstrate achieving housing targets through occupancy permits. So these are real numbers that you have to demonstrate that you achieve, and that is through annual reporting. And the province does have enforcement measures if municipalities don't meet those housing targets. So I'm going to get back to this slide. I'm just going to go to conditional density now. So the province has issued information about conditional density. So within the city of Colwyn context, we have comprehensive development zones. So our CD zones, these are the majority of a result of our rezoning applications, Beachlands, Latoria South. We have many comprehensive development zones, and each of them typically have a base development, which is typically 2 units, and then there's a comprehensive development. So that is the density or the number of units that was negotiated at the time of rezoning. So common comprehensive developments that we're all pretty familiar with is, for example, Beachlands. They have a comprehensive density of 2,850 units. Latoria South has 2,600 units. Access to that density is subject to the payment of community amenity contributions. So that is essentially a condition of getting that density. And so that is what the province is referring to as conditional density. You must pay those CACs to access that density. So going back to housing needs versus housing targets, the units that are subject to the CAC, so the units that are within our comprehensive development zones, can account towards our housing targets. So at that time of occupancy permit, community amenity contributions would have already been paid, and so they can contribute to our housing targets. However, housing needs, we cannot use our comprehensive development towards our housing needs. So that 2,850 units that are within the Beachlands, we cannot use those units to account towards our housing needs. And it's excluded from our zoning capacity analysis. And that's really to ensure that our housing needs analysis reflects only what is guaranteed under existing zoning. So next, I just wanted to get into small scale multi-unit housing. So that is a requirement, a mandated change from the province. And I just wanted to get into the specific criteria to permit small scale multi-unit housing. So that's starting with the definition of a restricted zone. So the province requires municipalities to permit small scale multi-unit housing within restricted zones. And those are zones that that permit a single family and a secondary suite or a duplex. Now, last year when staff was implementing to comply with Bill 44, the understanding was that we were exempt from small scale multi-unit housing because all of our residential zones, most of our residential zones, permit a single family, a secondary suite, and an accessory dwelling unit. So essentially over the density that is a part of the restricted zone definition. And so our understanding was that we were exempt from small scale multi-unit housing because of that. However, then we received the letter at the beginning of the year from the minister stating that we are not meeting the intent of small scale multi-unit housing. The intent of it is to permit the 3 to 6 units in our single family residential zones, which we are currently not doing. So I just wanted to describe the definition of a restricted zone. Next, the criteria is that properties must be connected to municipal water and sewer. So within the city of Colwood context, this is one of the biggest criteria that impacts small scale multi-unit housing because of our sewer system. There are many single family lots that remain on septic, and so they are exempt from small scale multi-unit housing. We do not have to permit the 3 to 6 units. They're not connected to sewer. If they do connect to sewer, then they would be allowed those 3 to 6 units, but as long as they are not connected to sewer, they do not meet the requirements of small scale multi-unit housing. Next, I wanted to just go into the lot size criteria. So we must permit a minimum of 3 units for lots that are less than 280 meters squared. We must permit 4 units for lots that are more than 280 meters squared. And we must permit 6 units for lots that are more than 281 meters squared within 400 meters of a prescribed bus stop. So within the city of Colwood, that's our blank or our 95. So those are our only prescribed bus stops that meet that definition from the province. So in August, when we're bringing forward our amendments to you, we will be bringing forward what we're calling the small scale residential zone. So that is essentially going to rezone many of our typical single family lots within the city of Colwood, and staff are currently finalizing that zone to present to you in August. And it will include regulations that you always see in zones, such as minimum lot size, height, setbacks, and all of that has been within consideration of the policy manuals and guidelines that the province has issued. You know, we do have to determine an appropriate minimum lot size for the small scale residential zone. And regardless of that lot size, we still have to permit 4 units for lots that are over 280 meters squared. Okay. Next, I just wanted to get into just a bit of a description on the zoning capacity analysis. So we are showing this map to you. The intent of showing the map to you is not to walk you through the map. We do hope to do that in August, but we really just wanted to show that this is simply an output of the methodology that is prescribed by the province. This is really a raw output from their step-by-step instructions of how to identify the lots that meet the criteria for small-scale multi-unit housing. And this map is actually forms part of the requirement that we must submit to the province that we have demonstrated our ability to implement Bill 44. So essentially, we have collaborated with our GIS department to determine the list of restricted zones and then sorted it by access to sewer and lot size. And then we developed the maximum number of units that would be permitted as part of small scale multi-unit housing minus the existing units to get our net units that we would gain through small scale multi-unit housing. Then we use that number to determine if we can meet our housing needs. And the assessment that we have done already does suggest that the net units that we gain through small scale multi-unit housing will allow us to meet our housing needs. So that suggests that the requirements of small scale multi-unit housing and the requirements of proactive planning are met without further pre-zoning requirements. And finally, I just wanted to get into the impact of small scale multi-unit housing and proactive planning has on the realization of our OCP. So the province's intent of this bill is not to remove the need for rezonings. Rezonings are still our tool to realize the OCP. Rezonings are the step to permit the density in the land use bylaw, but we have already enabled that density within the OCP. Rezoning applications that do come before you, unless otherwise stated, comply with the OCP. Otherwise, it would be a joint rezoning and OCP amendment. We will still see rezonings to higher density developments because we have to ensure that we are supporting a range of housing typologies to meet our housing needs and accommodate various types of needs within our community. We won't always be able to rely on the net units that we gained through small scale multi-unit housing to accommodate our housing needs. As our community grows and our housing needs evolve, we're not always going to be able to rely on that small scale multi-unit housing units. And so we must plan for the future, and a part of that is developing an ACC bylaw. So what that would do is remove the CACs from our land use bylaw into a separate bylaw. And what that will do is open up all of those units within our comprehensive development zones. They'll be unconditional. And so they'll all be able to account towards our housing needs. And that is it for this evening. So as I mentioned, our next update is August 25th. And that is a committee of the whole meeting. So we are going to be workshopping the amendments. It's going to be quite a fulsome list of amendments for you, but we hope that the categorization of the amendments will help facilitate that conversation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I can see that we've got some lit mics here. Move to Councillor Day.
Thank you. So in the OCP, we have a map that shows those properties that are sewered and those that are not. And SMUs, obviously, according to your presentation, do not apply to lands that do not have sewer service. Currently, what seems to be happening is anyone who owns a larger property in a septic serviced area is being treated as if they have entitlement to sewers. And those rezonings are coming forward regardless of what's in the OCP, that they are not on sewer, and that you know, they don't meet then the qualifications for SMU. And yet every one of them that has come forward through planning and land use, the residents adjacent have been threatened with, well, you better take this, because if you don't take this, you're getting a SMU, which is even worse for you. And I would like to understand why, we don't have a budget for our sewer allotment, given that we may be out of sewer capacity in 5 years, and B, we are continuing to accept those applications regardless of them not meeting the OCP designation of being on septic.
So I can start answering that question from a planning perspective. So rezoning applications for areas that are not connected to sewer, it is a requirement of the rezoning once they do build the development to connect to sewer. So it's essentially an expansion of our sewer system. I also just want to note that rezoning applications, I think we need to try and think of them differently than small scale multi-unit housing. You're correct in that small scale multi-unit housing only applies to those areas on sewer, but that is not necessarily the case for rezoning applications. We don't have to just consider rezoning applications that are connected to sewer, because it is a requirement of those rezoning applications to connect to sewer.
But we have the 2022 sewer master plan that identified the order, and we have told our residents who may be on septic, who wanted to convert to sewer, that they couldn't convert to sewer because maybe they were, and as is the case with Winthrop Road, last on the list of the sewer master plan. So I'm just trying to understand why we told all of our ordinary residents one thing and treated our development residents differently.
Yeah, I can see that John, yes, please do speak. Mr. Rosenberg?
Thank you, Your Worship. Concerning the sewer allocation, staff have not told individual people they can't have sewers. What we've told them is they would have to pay to have sewers, and in some cases, we've given them numbers. They're ballparks. I mean, we're not going to put the time and effort, thousands of dollars into trying to figure out what it is, but we'll take a look at it and say the pipe would have to be extended so far. You'd have to do so much work. In the analogy with regards to development, the developer up front is saying, I want to pay to have the sewers installed. So if somebody was to call us and say, I live a mile away from sewer and I'd be happy to install that pipe for a mile and install the sewer pipe, we'd be like, sure. I mean, there's lots that go into that because there's construction problems with regards to, you know, what roads are they going down and all of that. But we wouldn't say no to them if they wanted to pay. The question always is, when are you going to sewer? And then we say, currently under the plan right now would have you being last because you're 58 if we went in the order that currently is in the sewer master plan. So we don't tell them they can't. We just tell them that if they're going to wait for the city to do it, they're last on the list. But if they wanted to do it, they could possibly be first.
And why do we not have a budget for that? We talk about road capacity, we talk about other amenities that are needed, but we are not talking about, you know, what we're not building because of what we're approving somewhere else.
So at the current time with regards to budgets, the current direction that we've been using historically, and call it since I've been here, which granted has only been a little over 3 years, is as requested and or as asked for. And it's typically developers coming in saying, we want to pay, we want to move it. So we're currently not budgeting it. The process we're going through now where we're trying to put together the sewer survey, reaching out to the residents to see what they want. Once we get those results back, if that ends up telling us that people want to proactively sewer the city, then that's when we start putting some time and effort and money obviously into figuring out what would that be, what would that look like, and then council will have to decide. We'd probably end up having another in-depth meeting with regards to here's our current matrix. So right now we're using proximity to the pipe, age of the house, which we then infer that that's the age of the septic system. Is a lift station required? So we're using those to determine those 58 units. If council came to us and said, well, we'd like the ones that are the easiest to sewer first, regardless of house age, regardless of location of sewer, then we'd take a look at that and maybe reconfigure those numbers or change those collection areas. So at this time, we haven't budgeted for it because that hasn't been the
But
strategic
when I'm
direction.
talking about budget, I mean, you're not looking at will the service be available? Currently, we've had 20 and 30% increases in the sewer user fees based on flows. That translates exactly into the increased demand that we're having. And very soon, our rates of cost are going to go up. And so how can we even predict the cost or the availability of sewers?
You can predict the availability, you cannot predict the cost at this time.
Thank you.
Councillor Jordison.
Thank you. I just want to go back to something Councillor Day mentioned though about, for example, Winthrop. So the density and the building of it and that is separate or what have you, but the threat of you can either take this and improve it or it's going to be addressed through small scale multi-unit
development, housing, whatever, that's an incorrect statement because it doesn't apply to SMU because it's not on sewer. So I think when those comments come forward, I'd really like staff to correct us when we're confusing it because that is a like if there is no threat there that if you don't take that, you're gonna get double because that's not correct.
If I may, through the chair.
Please go ahead.
So it's not an incorrect statement. So for, let's say, Laguna and Mechosing, the applicant is patiently waiting a decision on council, but we are in active conversations for them to pivot their proposal to small scale housing if the rezoning is not successful. So council has a decision to make as to whether the 10 units are acceptable. But if not, what we want to emphasize with rezoning applications that these are property owners that have purchased the land to develop them. And so they are looking at the options that are in front of them. And if it's connecting to sewer is already part of the expectation of the rezoning proposal and that they own through exploring small scale housing and or waiting for a resolution on an active rezoning application. So it isn't meant to be as a threat. It's meant to be, there are proposals that are at the table with people waiting on a decision and they will explore options, whether that is subdivision under the existing zone, proposing a new zone, coming back if you will only entertain single family, would you entertain small scale single family? Like these are people that have purchased the land with an intent to develop and they will explore development opportunities as they see fit, including small scale.
Thank you. I think it's a question that I'd be happy to. I hope we do have the province here when we're educated on this because that is not my interpretation of what was put forward. But I had another question and it was regarding way back when you were mentioning, I think Marie was mentioning about the housing targets and the housing targets and how they come forward. So the housing needs report was due in January of 2025. And in February, the population numbers came out, the updated population numbers came out, and they went down. And according to what we've provided to the province or what the report says is that we're currently building over 600 more homes or set to build over 600 more homes than what we have to build. So I think that that's something we need to ask the province as to what they're going to do about that, because I don't think that the population is going to go up again. There's going to go up this year, it's going to go down again. And so they were overbuilding according to the numbers. And the UBC calculator, if you put in all the data that with the UBC calculator, it tells you that. So I think that's one thing that I'd like to hear from the province as to what they're going to do about that, because essentially BC has overstated 100,000 units of building altogether. So I'm just, I guess, just telling you that. But about the about this SMU stuff, I did talk to you about it earlier, and I understand we came and it was first misunderstood, but I don't believe it was misunderstood, and I was told that you received a legal opinion. What did that legal opinion state about the situation for Colwood? About the Bill 44 housing?
So the question that we asked our solicitor was confirmation of what was the definition of restricted zone. So it was not based on an analysis of our actual zones, was more so explaining the definition of a restricted zone. But for instance, just like some of the correspondence that we've received on some of the older Royal Bay zones, the RBCD1 zone, that one is a restricted zone because it restricts the townhome development to a lot area that doesn't meet the current criteria in the provincial guide. So the questions that we posed to our lawyer was very specific to how do you define or how does the law define a restricted zone? But it wasn't a question about can you please review all our zones and let us know which ones fall into a restricted zone or not. So it's a different understanding when you get into the specifics of each zone. How are we enabling the additional third unit? And if it's conditional on a lot size that doesn't meet a criteria, then that doesn't count. That is a restricted zone. There's a lot of technicality to it, and we can go on and on explaining the various ways as to we came to it. And as we've mentioned, this is a due diligence on staff part to present to council the analysis that the province is asking us to undertake. Ultimately, council can decide to take no action and to respond to the province. We have considered the implications. We have read and reviewed the guide, the policy manuals, and we've made a decision to advance no additional change. The law says you must consider. And as long as we can submit the analysis and the technical review and say we have actually considered and given these comprehensive thought to what it would mean to Colwood, council can still decide to not proceed or to not implement the manual. It is at this point, as I said, and Mary mentioned, currently we need small scale housing to prove that we have the 5,000 units needed to meet our 20-year housing need. Because none of our existing units in our master plan communities or comprehensive development zone count towards those 5,000 units. So currently on paper, we need them.
Nothing will continue to meet those requirements until we come up with ACCs. Because if you continually keep putting out zones, like bylaws that have the CACs, nothing of that nature is going to count towards that. So, but my concern is that the province has a lot of videos they've put out lots of tools that you can go to. And this exact question was asked. It was asked on, and I sent you the link. It says that if you are in a single family home, and in that single family home, that counts as one. If you have a suite, that counts as two. And if you have a detached unit, that counts as three. And that is what Colwood said that all of Colwood could have if it works on their lot. Or so technically that makes us compliant with Bill 44. So anything we choose to do up and above that is our choice. But I don't think it's fair to go out and tell residents that their area is going to become a small zoning or whatever for housing when it doesn't even need to happen. I think we're making a huge make work project. And I don't understand this letter that you received from the province. I called the planning use department and I asked them. The January 10th letter that was sent out from the province was a form letter, and it was sent to all municipalities that sent in and said that they didn't make substantive changes to their land use, so their land use bylaw or whatever. So we got a legal opinion to find out about whether you complied or not. The legal opinion came back that Colwood was in compliance originally.
And then why wasn't a legal opinion asked about the letter? Because nowhere in this letter does it say Colwood is not in compliance and you need to do this and this and this and this. It's a form letter that other people got, and West Vancouver has they don't have to do anything either. Because they are in the same situation that we are in. We already meet the zoning. So I think there's huge misinterpretation of Bill 44. And I think it's causing lots of confusion. It's causing upset from the neighborhood. And I think we need to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments before I speak? Oh, Councillor Jansen. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a lot there. I really enjoyed this and I thought it was quite instructive. Thanks, Mari. And I know the mayor was really pumping it as well. So I do find it helpful. And I like how you've broken it down. I did have a question. I made a note to myself before we had the discussion, but I think it's been batted around quite a bit. But in general terms, if someone is not on sewer and brings the sewer to their property, it triggers this SMUH process. Is that fair? Okay, thank you. And I don't think we need to beat that up anymore. And the other thing is, as far as 3 units, to Councillor Jordison's point, I think it's an interesting one. And certainly, I think I would agree where the lot size is 280 meters squared or less, 3 units does suffice. But that thinking doesn't speak to the 4 units and the 6 units, which speak to the larger lot size. Is that a fair assessment? Like, I mean, we have the 3 units, and I thought we did quite a lot of work in that, bringing in the small scale development. I thought it was quite unique. Now we're going to that next level for lots of a bigger configuration. Is that what we're trying to achieve here?
Yes, essentially. So the majority of the lots that meet the criteria for SMU are the 4 units. So the majority of our lots within the city of Colwood that are our single family residential lots that are connected to sewer are certainly over 280 meters squared. We have very few lots that are less than 280. So the majority of them are permitting 4 units. So when we present to you the zone, that will provide the general regulations of the development controls of what we're looking for in that small scale residential zone. I also would just like to note that we have permitted single family with a secondary suite and an accessory dwelling unit for quite some time now. But we haven't seen much uptake on accessory dwelling units either. So I think that is something important to point out, that just because we permit small scale residential doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see it everywhere either.
Thank you. I don't really have anything else.
Great, thank you. So I think the purpose of this recommendation is to ensure there's a common understanding with council, committee members, and the public. So I don't have any other questions regarding the recommendation. We're going to have lots of opportunity to discuss this in even greater detail than this evening. So can I get a mover and a seconder on the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Jansen, seconded by Councillor Grove. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Okay, Councillor Day is opposed. Councillor Jordison is opposed. All in favor? And so that would be Councillor Jansen, Olson, and Grove in favor. Thank you. So motion carried. With that, we will move into bylaws this evening. So 9.1. Now I know Rachel Sampson wanted to speak to this item. It was 9.1, correct? Yeah. Thank you. Please go ahead and.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam Chair.
Sorry.
Just
Oh, sorry.
before there is actually item 8.7, which is the consent item that was pulled from the
Oh,
agenda.
my apologies. Sorry, Rachel. I'll call you up again.
Councillor Day had asked that that item be pulled from the consent agenda
Great.
from the
Sorry.
committee of the whole,
Um,
and that was on the road infrastructure project.
Thank you. I lost my piece of paper. Councillor Day.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to the road infrastructure. The motion was that council direct staff to proceed with the interim safety enhancements, which is a LED enhanced stop sign and regular repainting of road surface markings while awaiting the completion of the new transportation master plan. And I'm opposing this because we don't have any information on the costs and we don't know what its impacts will be to the transportation master plan either.
Okay. Are there any questions from council? Other questions? No further questions? Sorry, I just need to find the recommendation. There wasn't one. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Should I read that there, Mr. Johnson?
I can do that.
Thank you.
That council directs staff to proceed with intern safety enhancements at the Machosen Road and Lagoon Road intersections, including the installation of an LED enhanced stop sign and the regular repainting of road surface markings while awaiting the completion of the new transportation master plan.
Okay, so I need a motion to move the. Okay, moved by Councillor Jansen, seconded by Councillor Grove. Any opposed? Councillor Day opposed. Councillor Jordison opposed. All in favor? So it would be Councillor Jansen, Councillor Olson, and Councillor Grove in favor. Thank you. Motion carried. Okay, Rachel, this is your time. Thank you.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, Council. I just had a few quick things to say about this agenda item, only because I know there were a few letters that had come in today, and just to clarify a few things. Concerns about demolition, lead paint and asbestos. These are all managed by way of a hazmat report that's provided to the city before demolition, and that's governed by WorkSafe BC to ensure safety to the workers and the neighborhood, and that's very strictly enforced. I believe there was a comment about snake habitat, how there may have been a snake noted in the neighborhood. Most of the environmental reports in this area talk about the habitat for the sharp-tailed snake. Because we're preserving about 40% open space here, there's ample opportunity for snakes and humans to coexist, and we may be able to have our landscape designers build some snake habitat. They like clusters of rocks and places to hide, so happy to incorporate that. Question regarding stormwater management. Of course, that'll be in accordance with the subdivision development servicing bylaw, as well as rainwater management, and as approved by engineering at the time of construction. I did have an opportunity to meet with a neighbor after the previous meeting, very interested in hooking up to the sewer that would be brought all the way along this property frontage. We would have the opportunity to serve about 5 additional residents if they wished. Certainly a lot more cost effective when we're there already with the machinery and the traffic control, et cetera, to add a few stubs to the property owner. So what we'll do prior to design and prior to approval by Colwood, of course, is canvass the neighborhood and see if anybody's interested, because it would certainly be a lot more cost effective for them to join in at the time. Thank you so much. I'm here for questions, if any.
Thank you, Rachel. Go ahead, Councillor Dorson.
I just wanted to speak to the Winthrop plans, and just that Colwood has limited agricultural lands, and this is one of them. And I'm just, you know, I'm just trying to. I don't know why we have to develop this land when, you know, we don't have, you know, we could provide council with you know, a bit of an inventory of agricultural land to consider, and it's not being considered. Also, I just wanted to mention that 12.5 meters in height is not what the province is recommending. I know that that's under SMOO designation or the province designation for housing, but it's usually 11 meters seems to be the standard, and I think that there's a difference between 36 feet and 41 feet in height, and that perhaps that we should standardize or come up with an appropriate height for these types of neighborhoods. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but 546, I don't believe is agricultural land in Colwood. So I'm not sure where that information has come from. I don't believe that. Okay, I'm going to let staff speak to that, please.
Thank you for the question. So yes, the property is not in ALR land. It is zoned A1, but it is a residential zone.
Thank you. Councillor Day.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask about the bylaw and the contributions. They're contributing to the Affordable Housing Fund, 1,500 per additional unit. But then the bylaw also says contribute community amenity fund 4,500, but only per additional dwelling unit for an apartment use. Why do we have apartment use in the bylaw for a non-apartment building?
Thank you for bringing that forward. So yes, we are, there will be a recommendation coming. That was an oversight at the time. I really appreciate you bringing that forward. So yes, the motion before you speaks to amend bylaw number 2055 and update Schedule B to increase the community amenity contribution amount to 7,500 per dwelling unit and remove the reference to apartment use. This was just an oversight at the time, and this seeks to meet the city's community amenity contribution policy as intended. So thank you for bringing that forward.
And I also noticed that the contribution for the fire hall fund is more than the previous one I was looking at. Why are they different amounts?
Thank you for the question. So it is based on CPI. So the 2025 rate is 618. Any previous rezonings, I believe last year was 618 and previous to that. So in 2026, the fire hall fund will also increase to a new amount.
Okay, so the last one we looked at was like 598 or something. So I guess it's to do with the way it's calculated, but I just wanted to comment that I think it's really important that we try to standardize those and ensure that it is a meaningful contribution, because $1,000 to the developer is a lot, but when you're trying to build affordable housing, it's not very much. So I just think we need to keep our eye on that goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Councillor Jansen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to move the readings as amended. Thank you.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Grove. So I guess I'll call the question to the amended motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Anyone opposed? Councillor Day opposed and Councillor Jordison opposed. All in favor? Councillor Jansen, Olsen, and Grove. Okay. We will move to item 9.2. No, you're right. Yes. So we will, yes, you're right. Thank you. I can hear you. Sorry. So we will need a mover and a seconder of the recommendation for rezoning application 546 Winthrop Road, bylaw number 2055 for second and third reading. So moved by Counselor Grove, second by Counselor Jordison. Is there any further discussion? No discussion. Any opposed? Nobody's opposed, so motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. So 9.2, I will let Jason Johnson introduce. Thank you.
I will be doing this one here. Bear with
Okay,
me here.
great. Thank you.
Bylaw number 2073, that council rescind the first reading of the Colwood Land Use Bylaw number 151, 1989, amendment 224-221 Goldfinch Road, Bylaw 2073, 2025, given June 23rd, 2025, and that council, or in that Colwood Land Use Bylaw number 151, 1989, amendment number 224 for 221 Goldfinch Road, Bylaw 2073, 2025, be given first, second, and third reading.
Thank you. Can I get a mover and a seconder of the recommendation? Moved by Counselor Jordison, seconded by Counselor Day. Discussion? No discussion. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Nobody opposed. Motion carried. Thank you. Item 9.3.
9.3 is bylaw number 2076, Colwood Sewer Utility Bylaw, number 1500, 2011, amendment number 13, bylaw 2076, 2025, be given first, second, and third reading with the updated schedules.
Great. Can I get a mover and seconder of the recommendation? Moved by Counselor Grove, seconded Counselor Jansen. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Nobody opposed. So motion carried. We'll move to item 9.4.
My apologies. That animal control bylaw amendment number 3, bylaw number 2080, 2025, be given first, second, and third reading.
Great. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Oh, we have. Yeah. Let's move by Counselor Grove, seconded by Counselor Jansen. Discussion, Counselor Jordison?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I had a quick read through this and it was quick. And I don't have the full, like I have to read go back to the full bylaw, but my only concern about this is, and I understand why we're doing it, but is that it's pretty aggressive. Like I mean, there's some things in here that my dog might do and he's not aggressive. And so I'm just a little concerned that we may be taking this a little extreme. And I'm just trying to find an example to, even this one, like a habitual noisy dog. Where is it here? That there's lots of dogs that suffer separation anxiety and they're left at home and they cry and whatever. And if somebody calls it in, that's one thing, but it doesn't make them an aggressive dog, or dangerous dog necessarily. I mean, that's just part of the bylaw, but I think if a dog bites somebody, that's definitely not okay. But I think that there's some things in here like, I don't know, I'm just trying to find them. I'm sorry. To just mentioning like just when you're out walking your dog and how your dog could lunge at another dog, or it doesn't necessarily make them aggressive. And there's some wording in here that I just feel it's a bit strong, and I'm just concerned about how much time we're going to be spending on this bylaw out addressing these issues, or that dog looked at, growled at me, so it's dangerous. And I'm just that kind of thing. I just didn't want it to be that extreme. That's all. I don't know if you have any comments.
Sure.
Sorry. Please go ahead, Byron.
Yeah, certainly. Like any bylaw matter that we deal with, we use our discretion. In this case, our contractors being the CRD. So it's not as though if a dog barks, they would get an aggressive classification slapped on them for that. or if it, necessarily lunges, it would take a case to be built. It would take, a complaint. So when we receive complaints or when our contractors receive complaints or concerns, it requires an investigation. It requires us to look at the picture holistically. So I hope that answers your question, but if your dog barks, you're not going to have the bylaw chopper come and land and slap an aggressive designation on you necessarily. So we don't have a bylaw chopper yet, though. It's a joke. One day. All joking aside, hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Byron, for that. Is there any other questions? No other questions? Okay, I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Nobody's opposed. Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. So moving to 9.5.
9.5 is bylaw number 2077. That's the animal control bylaw number 1533, 2014, amendment number 2, bylaw number 2077, 2025 be given first, second, and third reading, and that council refer the animal control bylaw number 1533, 2014, amendment number 2, bylaw number 2077, 2025 to the Waterfront Stewardship Committee meeting for feedback prior to adoption.
Great. Can I get a mover and seconder of the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Grove, seconded by Councillor Jordison. Any discussion? No. Thank you. I'm very happy to see this go to the Waterfront Stewardship Committee. I know this is also something that they really, really want to chew on. So thank you for that. So anyone opposed? Nobody is opposed. Motion is carried. Thank you. So moving on to item 9.6.
Item 9.6 is that the following sewer bylaws be given first, second, and third reading. Colwood Main Sewer Local Area Service Establishment and Loan Authorization, bylaw number 598, 2001, amendment number 172, LAS Enlargement, 3325 Metchosin Road, for bylaw number 2074, 2025, and Colwood South Sewer Local Area Service Establishment and Loan Authorization bylaw number 602, 2001, amendment number 32, LAS Enlargement for 3325 Metchosin Road, bylaw number 2075, 2025.
Great, thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder of the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Jansen, seconded by Councillor Grove. Any discussion? Oh, Councillor Day.
Thank you. I'm going to be opposing any future amendments enlarging our sewer service area until we have a plan for beyond the next 5 years. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Councillor Day opposed. Motion carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion for adjournment? Councillor Grove and seconded by Councillor Day. Any discussion on that? No, I didn't think so. Thank you for being so patient with me this evening. Motion carried. Good night, everyone.